Hello, my name is Caitlin, also known as Shelabobby, just about everywhere on the internet. Welcome to my first podcast. I personally love to watch podcasts here on YouTube, and so after some thought, I've decided to take a chance and see how it works. So, a little bit about me. I am a knitter, a crocheter. Sometimes I'm doing some embroidery. I've wanted to do some cross stitch, have some patterns to work through those, but just haven't had the chance to get started yet. And I have done a little bit of spinning. So this is going to be a fiber related podcast. I began knitting in July of 2020, so during the pandemic. I decided to start a new hobby and see how it goes, and I've been hooked ever since. The saying of if she's sitting, she's knitting is 100% accurate for me. I started to crochet, I believe, in 2016. I don't know the exact date that I started doing that, but around 2016 is when I started to crochet. I don't have any finished objects to show you at the moment. I figured to get started we would just go through all of my current whips. It's not too many. I tried to keep my whips limited to 2 of a type, so 2 blankets, 2 sweaters or garments, 2 socks, something like that, just so that it's manageable for me. I typically like to do something that has a little bit more thought into it, so a patterned sock or a more in-depth, need to focus type of pattern, and then one that's pretty simple that I can do and grab and take anywhere. So to get started, let's take a look at my whips. My first whip is the oldest whip that I have, and ever since I've brought it out to show on the video here, I really want to work on it some more, so maybe that is some motivation to do that. So this particular whip is a crochet blanket. It is quite large. There's no way I would be able to get that into frame. And then the length of it is also quite large. I started this one in January of 2018, somewhere around in there. It is a acrylic cotton blend. Let's see, it is 78% acrylic, 22% cotton, and it is the Yarn Bee Urban Chic, and the colorway is gray. This colorway is no longer available. I don't even know if they make the Urban Chic anymore. It's been a while since I've looked at yarn for Hobby Lobby, but this colorway, I believe, started to be discontinued in 2019, I think, is when I purchased the last of the balls that I have. So I have no idea how many balls is in this blanket. I have no idea how many are going to be needed to complete the blanket, but the size of it is about a king size blanket, so if you throw it on a king size bed, it would fit the top of it. It is just using ball after ball. I do my best to make sure that the stripes go in the same order, but I don't know if I continue making this, which I will be, if I'll continue to matter so much the direction that the stripes go in. So this is my longest whip that I have, and hopefully we'll continue to work on it. I'm not going to bother folding that up at the moment. It is housed, it's caught on my foot, excuse me. It is housed in a 31 bag that I had on hand when I started making it, and that is where it continued to live. It's a very nice zippered bag, so it holds it very well. It even holds the crochet hook. Let me tell you which one I am using for that. It's stuck on the yarn ball. There we go. It is a very used, well used 5mm hook that I got from the craft section in Hobby Lobby when I began to crochet. So it is one of the first ones that I ever owned. My next whip is in a bag by the Fat Squirrel here on YouTube. She always has the most fantastic bunny related bags, and I absolutely adore bunnies. I have a pet bunny myself whose name is Charlie. So whenever she puts out bags that have bunnies, I am always the first to jump on them. This is one of her larger bags. I can't remember if she calls this the Aran sweater or if there's another name for the largest bags. But that is where my next blanket is held. This blanket is my granny stripe blanket, which is a pattern written for DK weight, and I adapted it to use fingering weight, you know, just chaining more. And so that pattern is by Addix something. I'll put it here. So you'll have that. But I just adapted that to be a fingering weight, and I started using it. This is the starting chain here. I began to use it last year. I cast this on in December of 2022, and I used Advent. So I did an Advent swap with someone. We just swapped minis that we had or scraps from sock weight yarn, and so I began with that. And then I also I know these grays and purples here are part of the Corner of Crafts, Hannah's advent calendar that she had last year that I got. So all of those are in here as well. And then I just began using all of my scraps. This is a pretty large blanket as well. Definitely not as large as the previous one, but I just toss all of my scraps from my socks. I am a avid sock knitter. I make quite a bit of socks, so I just toss those in there, and any minis that I collect, and just toss them in here, and then I will go through them and use them one by one. I even have, let me see if I can find it in here. Yep. I even have some hand spun that my friend made for me. My favorite colors are blues and greens, and so she gave me this to add to my blanket, so that will be added in there at some point. I am I am crocheting this one on a D-hook 3.25. Quite a small little hook there. And I'm just using the simple granny cluster for that one. My next whip is in this bag by Cottontail Farms. Again, bunny theme. Has some squirrels and foxes and birds on there as well. This is my only shawl project. I am not a big shawl maker. I don't particularly wear them myself, but I have made several crochet versions for my family members that do enjoy shawls. I am all tangled up here. Oh Lord. Whew, there we go. Made a mess there. So this is my, what I call my sunshine shawl. I cast this on in March of this year. It is kind of a mini make-along that I am doing with my friends at my local yarn shop. We are all making different weights. Some are using hand spun that they've made. This particular one is made out of Long Dog yarn. Let me see if I have the tag for it. So Long Dog yarn in her bounce sock, and this colorway is silver and gold, and I was very excited about this colorway when it came out, and so I actually purchased 2 of them. So here it is in the cake. Please ignore the messy cake. It's been rolling around in this bag since I cast on, but it is a lovely blue gray with gold, brown, almost some reddish and dark brown speckles in it. The pattern is called Baby Sunshine, and it is meant to be a baby blanket, but a lot of the people at my local yarn shop like to adapt this into a simple shawl. So my plan is to, I only have quite a small amount. I just unwound some of it. That's the last, sorry, my hair. That is the last little bit of the ball of yarn that I have for the first one. So I plan to use at least half of this cake to get to at least the garter border, because there's a garter border at the bottom of the shawl to keep it from rolling. So I plan to use at least half of this, if not 3/4, and then start the garter border. If I need a little bit more, one of the skeins did come with a beautiful gold mini that I will use to add in there as well, just for a pop of color at the bottom. So I believe that is all of this one. Oh, it is Baby Sunshine, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce her name correctly. Let me look at my notes here. Kelly Van Nykirk. I'll put it here so that you will have that as well. But yes, so that is the only shawl, and I plan to make this one kind of like a blanket, so an extra large shawl to throw over my shoulders while I'm working, you know, just as a light blanket if you're a little bit chilly. So that is that whip. My next whip is a sock whip. So I actually have one of them done, so I have that on a sock blocker here. This is the Magic Heel Socks by the Autumn Acorn. This sock, I say that this is a sock that's not a sock. I wanted to try out a alternative heel, so that I was trying out different heels. I was doing the Shadow Wrap heel, the German short row heel. I haven't tried the Afterthought heel, but that was on the list as well, and the Fish Lips Kiss heel. So I was trying a whole bunch of different ones, and so I wanted to try this option as well, which is basically just ribbing in place of a heel. So you just continue to knit the instep and just knit half of your stitches ribbed. There is a pattern for this. I don't remember if it's a paid for pattern or if it is a free pattern, but it is by the Autumn Acorn, and she will give you all of the instructions on how to make this sock as well. The yarn that I am using is a Yarnable subscription yarn by Hypnotic Yarns. I know that they're putting the ears on the tags now, but I do not know exactly what time of year this one came out, but it is Mermazing, and I get the plush sock fingering weight yarn. Here is my second sock. So I've only got a little bit of the cuff going there. This charm is a charm that I got from my friend on her wedding. I was in her wedding, and on the bouquets they added these little charms. It was a Halloween themed wedding, and so they added these little charms, and I added a earring hook to it. See if it'll stop moving there, so that I could have it as a knitting charm for a progress keeper. So I am still working on the cuff, the leg of this sock, and I'm continuing to work on that. It is in a little tiny bag because I use this sock to mostly exercise with. So I knit at the gym on the treadmill, or now that it's hopefully going to get a little bit cooler, definitely not today with a feels like temperature of 112, but hopefully it'll start cooling down so that I can walk outside as well and hook this on a bag or on a belt loop and be able to exercise and knit this sock. So that is why this one does not get a whole lot of love, because it's my exercise sock. And then you saw before, I just have a little bit left in that skein. This particular sock I cast on in April of 2023. The next one lives in this beautiful bag by Stitching the High Notes. This was actually the first project bag that I purchased when I began knitting. It of course has bunnies on it. It was part of her spring and summer collection of 2020. So I don't remember the exact collection that it was in, but that is where this one came from. And inside of here, I have a Musselburgh, I never know how to pronounce that one. That is just past the decreases. I'm about ½ an inch past the crown decreases, not decreases, increases, past the crown increases of this hat. And I just have a little candy charm on there for a progress keeper. This particular cast on was done in, let me see, April of 2023. I cast this one on so that I could have knitting. We were going to a movie and none of my socks were in movie knitting stage, so I cast on a Musselburgh so that I could have some plain stockinette knitting to do while at the movies. The yarn this beautiful, beautiful dark teal color with tweed. And it is by Long Dog Yarn in her tweed sock in the colorway Mackenzie, which was part of her Outlander series, or Outlander collection that she had. There's her label again. And so this one is not really an active whip. It is one that I am just using to knit when I go to the movies, which is honestly not that often, or if I just need something that's in stockinette and easy to just keep knitting on if I'm going out. So that is what is in that bag. My next project is crochet. Oh no, I pulled out one of the strands, so I'll show you that. This is a crochet plant that I am making for my sister. And it does not have a pattern, so there's not really a pattern that I'm going by. I kind of based it off of things that I saw on YouTube and on Pinterest, and I'm just making a string of pearls plant. And so this is the string of pearl that I made. They're all individual, and I just have them tucked in at the moment. They're going to be all different lengths and hang on the plant. The actual tin that I'm using for it I got at the dollar store, probably end of spring, beginning of summer this year, to house this. And then inside of it I just crocheted the dirt, and then I'm doing the little plant strings individually. Here is the yarn that I am using. Most of these are Kelborn woolens. So I'm using Scout, which is the dark brown color. So the Scout is a thicker yarn. So the one that I'm using for the dirt is Chestnut Heather. Scouts from Kelborn woolens. And then the green is Moss Heather, which is the camper base, which is the fingering weight, I believe. I don't have the tag for that one, but I'm using the Moss Heather to do the plants. And then I'm using a, I think it's 3.5, yes, 3.5 millimeter hook, which I just keep my balls of yarn together in for that. This one is just kind of a, if I have a few seconds, I pick up and make a string of pearls to add to it. So nothing major, or I don't have any deadlines. It's just something to have on the hook. My next project is also in a Cottontail Farms bag. I believe Cottontail Farms and the Fat Squirrel are my favorite bags, so I have quite a few of those. But this one is in a bag that of course has bunnies, squirrels, foxes. I think there's little hedgehogs and mice on there as well. This is one of my favorite bags. In this one, I have a crochet project, which is a, what I am calling a solid hexy cardigan. So these hexagon style cardigans are quite popular right now on YouTube and just in general. So I usually have seen them with a granny stripe similar to my granny stripe blanket. I've seen those quite a bit. This one is about to my elbow for my arm, and I definitely need quite a bit more for the length and the width of this one. But what I have started doing is I don't want the sleeve of the cardigan to get much wider, so I don't want it to continue to grow and be very flowy and billowy. So I have marked my sleeves, so it's attached at the moment, but I have marked them and I have stopped decreasing on these two corners. So this is folded in half, and then I have decreased my first stitch there. So I'm no longer increasing, and I've started decreasing on the sleeve so that it'll start going in. I don't really have a plan for this one as far as how I'm going to finish it, what colors I'm going to add to it. All I know is I'm going to make this one just about as big as it needs to go, and then I'm going to start making the other side. I have some light blue that I was going to use because this was a sweater's quantity. I have some light blue that I plan to use in this as well, but I don't know exactly how. And I know that I want to do a knitted ribbed cuff and a knitted button band and possibly ribbing on the bottom when I get there. So that is the plan so far. I have a little charm on there. It is a little kitty. Don't know where I got that one from, but that is the one that I'm using for my progress keeper here. The yarn for this one is 100% acrylic. Paintbox Yarns in Simply DK. I believe the colorway for this one is Granite Gray. They only have a color number on the back, so 106 is the colorway. And it is just a simple gray acrylic. Paintbox Yarns is very, very soft, and I've used it for sweaters for my nephews and nieces that they would quickly grow out of, but that is a sweaters quantity that I have and I would like to use it, so it is going in a cardigan. 4 more left. I'm sorry if my cheeks are getting super, super red. I had the air conditioner on in here, but it is quite loud to have on during a video, and I believe it's getting close to 80 degrees in here again. So it is getting quite warm. So I'm sorry if my cheeks are very, very red or if I'm glistening. My next project is in a fat squirrel bag. Of course, it is covered in bunnies. This is my Lento, and I am not going to be able to pronounce the name of the designer, so I will put it here on screen. But this is my Lento sweater. I am about, I'd say, 5 or 6 inches after splitting for the sleeves, and I'm just working on the body, which I am a person that has the body island syndrome where bodies take forever and I hate it. So it is possible that I will start on a sleeve just to bypass some of the body. This is very, very rustic wool. This is Plotilopi, and I'm holding it double. The colorway for this is dark gray heather. So I'm just holding it, it is unspun yarn, and I'm just holding it double to get gauge. I know that several people had used it single and gotten gauge, but I don't know, I preferred it a little bit of a thicker fabric. Let's see what charm I have on here. This is a Progress Keeper by Forest Charm, which is semi-local to me. Let's see if I can get it to focus on it. I am located in North Carolina, and she also does amazing charms, so check her out as well. She'll be linked in the description, of course. So yes, just some details about this. I am making the size 6 for the ease that is recommended for the pattern, and I'm using US 10 6mm to knit this. So been trying to work on that and do at least a couple inches on the body per week just so that it doesn't stall out. I'm not typically a person who stalls out on projects. I usually just work through them so that I can start a new project, but this one, the body is getting to me. I don't know if it is the rustic yarn that is harder to knit on or what, but I know that once it blocks, it is going to be a beautiful fabric, very, very warm. So that is my Lento. My next project is in a fat squirrel bag. This one does not have bunnies, but it matches the bag that I got that does have bunnies, so why not pick it up? It matches. You can have coordinating bags, right? In here I have my outline tee by Jessie May Designs, and there's not much to look at here because I have, this is a bottom-up construction, so I have just started, got all of my yarn tangled here, excuse me. I have just started the stockinette portion of the body, like literally 3 rows. This is a, I believe it's Monster Knits. I'll link that below as well. That this came in, it was in a Yarnable subscription box last year, and so it is my beginning of round. Then I just have some Cocoa Knits little triangles to mark the outline part. So this is the outline tee, so it's going to have a drop stitch design on the front, on the sides, and on the back, and I believe for the tee it also has a stitch design on the arm. I knitted the outline tank. You can see it there on my sister. For my sister in this exact same color, so we are going to be twinning, wearing these. I am using Musselburgh sock in the colorway Ivy. I'm currently alternating these because such is the way of Musselburgh. They are very different in their colorways. I don't believe it's too obvious there on camera, but this one is quite a bit darker and this one has quite a bit more yellow. So I'm alternating skeins. Skeins? How do you say it? I'm alternating them to eliminate some of the issues with color. So that is where I am on that one. Just some other details about that. I'm knitting the 1XL in the pattern and I'm using US 4 3.5 millimeter needles. That one is a slow go. I initially cast it on to wear to a Fall Out Boy concert with my sister. We were going to be matching, but it was way too hot. So we actually wound up getting customized t-shirts with our pets on them, so even better. And we'll wear those at another time when it would not be as hot, because they would definitely be felted at the end of that concert. But that is why that one is kind of put on hold, is I was at first trying to get it done for the concert, and then I was like, no, I don't need it. I can slow down on it. 2 more left, and both of them are socks. So I am a big sock knitter, as I said before, and I am, of course, participating in the Crazy Sock Ladies Summer Sock Camp. If you don't know about that, there's still a couple weeks left if you want to join in. It is a knit along that is done June, July, and August every year. You just make as many socks as you can. There's fun prizes. I personally have never won any of the prizes, but I absolutely enjoy challenging myself to do different things. Last year, I learned how to make socks on many different types of needles and methods. So I learned on Magic Loop in the beginning of 2021. That is how I learned how to knit socks, is on Magic Loop. So last year I also learned DPNs for a month and 9-inch circulars. This year I challenged myself to do pattern socks along with vanilla socks, so that I could always have 2 on the go, and challenge myself to knit some patterned textured socks. The one that I am knitting now will be, let's see, it'll be my 11th sock. I actually have one completed, so let's look at it on a sock worker. This is the Huggle Socks by the Knitting Expat Designs. It is a twisted cable design on one side of the foot, so the other side is plain. So it's only on one, and then on the other sock, it is on the opposite side, and I'll show you that one in a moment. I did modify this one. I particularly don't like German short row heels, so I swapped it out for a heel flap and gusset, and I believe everything else is knitted to pattern. There's also a different toe that is on this pattern than I normally knit. This is a rounded toe, and typically I do a wedged toe, sorry. The cuff is 1x1 and has this beautiful twisted knit stitch that goes into the twisted cable. These were my first cables, and is a lead-in to a cabled sleeve sweater that I want to make for the autumn and winter. So this sock is completed, and then I have almost completed the second sock. So if I were to be holding this one up, you can see that the let's take it off here so you can see it. The cable design is opposite. I am also going to have 2 very different colored socks, even though it is from the same skein of yarn. So the first part of the skein is a little bit darker than the second part. I'm using a charm from Hello Lavender, and I'm using light bulb stitch markers to mark every 20 rounds so that I would know when I'm almost done with my sock. And I believe I only have like 10 more rounds, and then I'm ready to do the toe. Almost done with this one. It'll be done tonight. So yeah, that is the second sock, almost to the toe. Here is the skein of yarn. I'm using Yarnaceous Fibers in her Salta fingering. And this particular color is called Enraptured by You. I am sorry, I see a Charlie hair, a bunny hair on my sock there, sorry. So this is her label, Yarnaceous Fibers. I got this on Pi Day. She had a mystery sale for her skeins and I got these and I absolutely love her yarns. I have several in the queue to knit. Ooh, out of focus there. There we go. I'm using a DPN to do the twisted cable. I did not have a cable needle. I attempted to do it with a locking stitch marker, like a little paper clip looking one, but it did not work for me. So I switched to using a DPN and I just stick it in there to do that. So hopefully these will be done today. If you want to see any of the other socks that I've made for summer sock camp, check me out on Instagram. I post all of my socks there when they are completed, so you can see some of the patterns that I've used this summer, and hopefully I'll have one more pattern sock that I plan to make for summer sock camp. My goal for summer sock camp was to make 12 socks. Last year I believe I made 9, and so I wanted to just add to that and do 12, and so I do have my 12th sock on the needles, and I'll show you that one here in just a second. But yes, so I made my goal, at least, because I have a couple weeks left. I'm sure that I will finish this one tonight and the other sock will be done this week. So no worries there. I think I'll make my goal. My last whip is in a bag by the Little Gray Girl. Let's see if I can get that in focus. By the Little Gray Girl, I got this bag when I purchased Martin of Blog 365, not Blog 365, Knit 365. He had a collaboration with the Little Gray Girl and I absolutely love that colorway, and then saw this really, really cute tiny sock bag that is perfect for my socks. In here I have a vanilla sock, heel flap and gusset. I believe this charm is by Simply Serving. See if I turn the sock on the knitting direction. It is a little ghost mushroom, and I am at least 25-ish rounds into my foot. I usually do around 50 to 56 for myself, so almost done with this one as well. So it will be done very, very soon, and so that one will be my 12th sock for summer sock camp. Here's the colorway. It is by Ash and Bumble on their Field 8020 base, and it is butterfly wings. It is a beautiful colorway. When I first wound it up, I did not expect it to be like this, but it is a very pale, like minty blue-green with beautiful specks of dark teal and yellow and pink and purple, and it is gorgeous. I'll show you it on the knitted fabric there again. And then I'll show you the tag. So all of those beautiful colors. Here is her label. Her name wraps around the larger part of the label there, but it is the Field 8020. And then, oh, butterfly wings. I don't know if I told you the colorway there. So that will be my 12th pair for summer sock camp when those are complete, and that would be my goal for the year. So very excited that that is coming up and almost done. All right, so that is all of my current whips that I have. I didn't count them up, but I will put the total here of the amount of whips that I currently have on the needles or on the hooks. I know a lot of people have been working down their whips. I just enjoy making and the process of making. If I'm one of those labels that people put on knitters, I would call myself a process gift knitter, which basically means I will knit just about anything for anyone, no matter how it turns out, where it goes, what happens to it. I enjoy the entire process. So I just enjoy the process of all of these things at different times, and I love the ability to be able to walk into my room and just pick up a project bag that I feel like knitting. So I don't really mind that there's quite a few here. Like I said, I do try to keep it to 2 of the same type. So, you know, 2 blankets, 2 socks, 2 hats, those types of things, 2 garments. But if I really, really want to make something, I of course will cast it on without any guilt whatsoever. All right, so my plan, my hope, is that I will be able to update you every 2 weeks on how my works in progress is going, maybe share my finished projects with you as they come out. But let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you watched it. Maybe leave a like or a comment. Let me know you're here. Let me know what you're working on. I know that when I personally work on projects, I love watching the YouTube videos, the podcast of people making projects and what they're doing, and it gives me amazing ideas. So I would love to hear from you on what you are making down in the comments. So I appreciate you, and see you in 2 weeks maybe. Bye.